clicked on my video. Thanks for doing that. So we're back in the garage again. You may be asking yourself, why are we back in the garage again? Well, this might make you ask the next question, why am I holding my exhaust in my hand again? Simple answer is, I'm gonna make a change. And I'm not very happy with this one. Some of the issues I'm having with it have kind of caused me to go to something new. And after the trip to Lake Havasu with Pete Hager and Mike and Connor, after rattling this one loose and having some issues with it sealing up again because I somehow dislodged the head pipe and lost a nut and nothing's been fitting right afterwards, but also a culmination of things over time. I've had some issues right from the get-go with this thing. Although it started out nice, this pipe from Rocket Exhaust, it looks good. I like the carbon fiber end cap and everything. It sounded pretty good. The spark arrestor was pretty easy to get in and out, so I was happy with that. The fitment was actually pretty good when I first put it on, but then I started noticing little things, like I lost a nut right off, or a screw right off the top of this thing. I started noticing some fit and finish things that I didn't really like that much when I was taking off the, there's a bezel here that comes out so you can repack the thing. After I took out all the screws that hold that bezel in there, I started noticing that some of these holes were drilled and tapped kind of like an afterthought, it looked like. They were in there kind of crooked, so they weren't very straight. Some of the aluminum was cut funny and then anodized, so you couldn't really see it right off the bat. And every time you tighten these up, the can would actually kind of, oil can, you know what I mean? It would kind of crunch in every time you tighten these back up. And then the carbon fiber cap, although it looks good, it's a really tight fit, so it's a pain to get in and out of there. And some of the carbon fiber had cracked right when I put the thing on. And I had also noticed that the spark arrestor, when it was in there, if you guys haven't noticed, which you probably have, was blowing all kinds of exhaust gas right outside this bezel. So there was a ton of exhaust gas leaking right out the side of the bezel, and you should be able to see it there. It was burning the sticker off of the thing, so it meant I had a big exhaust leak right here. And I don't want an exhaust leak. I want a nice tight fit so everything flows nice. You shouldn't have an exhaust leak. So I took the spark arrestor out thinking that would kind of fix it. Well, it didn't. It just kept blowing out the side, just not as bad. And when I got a hold of Rocket Exhaust, I asked, hey, have you guys seen this problem before? Have you seen, it burning off your logos and a bunch of exhaust gas leaking out of here? And I also had some packing that was actually blowing out the top here because there's such a gap. And the answer I got was, yeah, we've seen that before. Quads do that because they're heavier. And when you go to repack it, put some silicone around the bezel so that when you put it back up there, it should seal up. And that didn't sit very well with me. I shouldn't have to put silicone on here just to make sure that exhaust gases aren't leaking out the side and blowing my packing out the side. I get it, quads are heavier, and this company makes bike exhausts. That's really what they're known for. And I think they were kind of focused on bikes still. This was just a dabble into the ATV market. Maybe they'll do better later, I don't know. Maybe they're working on something else. They had already worked on a new head pipe for it, but yeah, I just kind of fell out of love with it, maybe that's the right word for it. So after taking a look at this and getting those answers, I decided, after talking to Pete, maybe I should go with something different. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the new pipe. So we're going to be giving a Rossier a try here. We're going to see what Rossier has in store for us with the R4. Like right off the bat, out of the box, I noticed that the actual head pipe and mid pipe are massive compared to, actually let me get the other one for you guys so you can see this, but the mid pipe and head pipe are massive compared to what Rocket Exhaust had done. So let me just grab that real quick. All right, so first thing you guys are going to see is the Rocket Exhaust head pipe. Now it's not bad, the welds are pretty good. I really didn't mind the head pipe itself. I mean, it's pretty durable. I like the coloring once the thing heats up, gets that beautiful blue color on it and everything like that. But what really started to irk me off the bat was this exhaust clamp right here. You guys can see it's already stuck. It's because it's aluminum and it bent onto the actual flange, so I can't get it off anymore. And it won't seal up right after that. So part of the problem was while we were riding, I had a little accident and landed on the grab bar of the quad, and it actually bent the brackets down, so it actually might have helped pop the exhaust loose, but I couldn't get it to seal back up to save my life. So I had to get a new pipe anyway, because you can't just take this clamp off and slide a new one on because they're all welded into place. So, but in comparison to this, I'm gonna give you guys the side-by-side here. There's the Rossier. You can already see how long the bend is, so it's not as tight of a bend. Is that gonna be a little hotter on my leg? Maybe, but it also means that exhaust gases are gonna flow a little more freely. And look at how thick that head pipe is compared to the rocket exhaust. The welds are just as beautiful, and I'm sure once I get this thing heated up, it's gonna get that cool coloring and everything, but I like the steel exhaust clamp we have on there. So that's what the exhaust clamp should do, but I can't do it with the other one. So now you guys kind of see my conundrum here. After pulling everything off, I really noticed how bad the exhaust leak was. If you guys can see up here, it's kind of white and powdery down here where the exhaust leak was happening because you just can't get it to reseal without that new crush washer. But up here is about the only part that was still sealing up, and the rest of it wasn't, so I was just blowing exhaust gases out the side. So the thing wasn't running right. That's why you guys hear all the popping and crackling in all the riding videos. So we're gonna fix that today, and I've got a little bit of my daughter's rain boot melted to the head. Oh, there it goes. All right, cool. Anyway, we're gonna get that all fixed up today. We're gonna throw the new Rossier on there, and we're also gonna see how the Rossier sounds. So I'll take it out for a little ride, and from what I've gathered, riding Rossiers on a couple other quads is they sound way different, vastly different. So this rocket exhaust was actually kind of quiet until you got onto the gas, but these Rossiers, they just sound a little pure. I don't know, it's kind of like raw, unadulterated sound. It's kind of cool, but I'm excited to get it on. So without any more jibber jabbering like I'm doing, I'm gonna go ahead and grab everything and I'm gonna start bolting it up. You guys will actually see me do it this time because I had to put new head studs in anyway, or new exhaust studs in because the old ones got seized up when everything bent. So got new ones in already, and then I'll take you guys over there, put the new one on, see how it looks, and then we're gonna go see how it sounds. One thing I forgot to mention. So when I did get this Rossier exhaust, because Pete said, hey, we can hook you up, we can get you a good one, pretty good deal on it. So literally the night that I was looking at all this, I said, hey, what's your website? Got the website from Pete, went on there, ordered, they talked to Rossier, Rossier had it in the mail, and within 4 days, that was sitting at my doorstep. And I'll tell you what, I didn't pay anywhere near as much for the Rossier as I did for the Rocket. So for the money already, Rossier is winning. So I'm kind of impressed with how quick it got there, how good it looks, and I can't wait to get this thing on there and give it a beating, as they say, and see how it holds up, because it already looks, with that aluminum cap, it looks like it should hold up a little bit better than carbon fiber. So let's get to it. All right, so before we really dive into everything, I'm going to explain a couple things to you guys. First, you can see the difference between your Rossiers and your Rockets. The Rocket is actually a little bit bigger of a can. I think it's 16 inches from tip to tip, but it's also a 3-piece construction versus a 2. You can also see the differences on how these get repacked. Obviously, you've got your different cones you can change out here with some bolts, kind of like the Rocket, but we've got, I think there's 8 bolts or 7 bolts around the Rossier's head here, versus the Rocket's 4. Then you have these 4 bolts back here, so you can take your mid-pipe off, versus a slip-on style here with the Rocket, which is also, if you guys can see that, those are roughly the same size, kind of the same bend and everything there. They just welded theirs in and then bolted it onto Rossier's, and then everything else is welded back together, so you don't have this mid-pipe that slips around, and then your head pipe, which is also a little bit thicker on the Rossier. So one other thing when you guys put exhaust on, I know most guys are really excited to get their new exhaust in and then slap it on their quad because it's gonna sound better, look better, all that. Yeah, it's great, but don't forget this little guy right here. This is the exhaust crush washer I'm talking about. This little culprit right here will cause all kinds of problems if you don't have a new one in, and you won't get a good seal. So you'll never have a good seal without it. Make sure you get one. Find an OEM part number. This is Honda's. Actually, let me see if I can get you guys the part number for the TRXs, because this little lifesaver right here will keep you from having all kinds of headache later, trying to figure out why your stuff is popping and banging, and you're doing all kinds of jetting and making sure it's jetted right, but it's still doing it. That little guy right there will do it. So let me get you guys the part number real quick. All right, genuine Honda part right here. This is 18291 MEB 670. That is Honda OEM factory part right there. Nothing wrong with going back to factory. I think Moose Racing makes the same thing, but it's just a copper ring, and that little bugger right there, a $3 part or a $4 part, will ruin your day if you don't have a new one in. If you guys can see this one right here, it's a little bit shiny right there where it was still sealing up with the old pipe, except for down here where it's all black and blown out on the bottom where it wasn't getting a good seal anymore. So make sure you guys get a new one of these and shove it right in here into your exhaust port right there where your header goes, and put a new one in. It's gonna save you a headache. All right, a couple things I want to make a note of before I finish tightening down these bolts back here. One, it's definitely the right way to go if you put the can on first. So you put on your muffler, just get it loose in there, and then slide your head pipe in to that. Just because of the way these things are built, since it's a two-piece, you're not going to be able to have this bolted up kind of just loosely hanging there and get this on at the same time, just because the angles don't work when you try to feed this in there. So definitely do the muffler first, then put the head pipe in, just kind of work it in there, and then get it snug. Make sure everything lines up. Tighten down your bolts as you go, starting with this guy, working all the way back. This, I mean, it felt very tight. I mean, it is really tight. One, it's a bigger head pipe. The welds look really good on it, by the way. Figured I'd add that. I'm a weld porn kind of guy. But very big head pipe, and it's a very tight fit. Now I have just a little bit of gap over the engine case. Just made it behind the frame. Everything made it in there. But one thing I am gonna do, and that's why I have the seat off, is I'm going to remove the air box and put some heat tape behind the exhaust here. And I'm gonna put it on the air box itself, just because that exhaust pipe, let me show you guys. It runs, I don't know if you can see that up there, but it is about a little less than 1/4 of an inch away from the plastic on there. And I know how hot these things are gonna get, so I'm gonna wanna put some heat tape on there. It gets really close. Now it fits, but it is really tight down there. I'd say like maybe 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4. That's it, that's all the space you have to play with. So definitely get some heat tape in there just to keep it from melting that plastic as much as you can, because you don't want any hot air and melted plastic sticking to your air filter. So we're gonna do that next, and then tighten this thing down, and then we're gonna see how it sounds. well, got my stuff on here. Gonna go out and get some sound clips for you guys of the new exhaust. Gonna take the boy out riding with me while I do it. You ready to go? Okay. So let's get it started and get a move on. All right, pal. All right, pal, you ready? All right, let's go. That sounds really good. I got the chase cam on the bar so you guys can see it and hear it from the back as well. But since I'm taking the boy out, I can't go ripping too far. Yeah, he's doing good. He's on a little Suzuki 50. He's only been riding for 2 months now. Doing really well. He already likes racing me on the road. All right, gonna go ahead and give this thing a run through the track. I gotta be honest with you guys. This thing definitely has a lot more grunt to it. I am really starting to fall in love with the sound of this Rossier. You know, as being part of the industry and a consumer of these products, all these aftermarket pipes and things and different parts. There goes my buddy doing donuts. Being a consumer of all these parts, you know, and being a vlogger, now I can call myself that, I guess. I feel like I owe it to you guys to let you know my honest opinion about some of these things. And I'm honestly not happy with that rocket exhaust at all. So making the switch, I'm actually feeling pretty confident right now. Just the way this thing sounds, it looks really good. I'm not a huge fan of billet end caps, but you know, carbon's kind of my thing. But this actually looks really good. And Rossier told me, he said you should get the full sticker, or the full plate, which it's an aluminum plate. It's not just a sticker. It's an aluminum plate. He said you should get the full name. He thinks it looks better, but I'm actually kind of a fan of this right here, the American flag on it. But yeah, I'm just not happy with the rocket exhaust. The way they said to fix the problem, and the way the thing's just not holding up. And for $700, I think you'd make a better pipe, you know what I mean? But this Rossier, well under that mark, and it seems a lot sturdier. I mean, time will tell. I'm gonna go beat it up and put it through its paces. But so far, I'm actually really impressed with the thing. It sounds really good. I can't really tell from a butt dyno, but I think it's got a little bit, it just makes the engine seem to run a little bit more free. The engine just doesn't seem as choked up. Now, is it adding a ton of horsepower? No, probably not. But the engine definitely seems a little happier. It's a little more free-flowing through this pipe. It's definitely a bigger head pipe, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, let's do a little flyby with this thing and see what it sounds like. to just grift around the camera. Everybody loves a good donut. Did that look cool?
Yeah, but my cooler just turned off by itself.
That's okay, we can turn it back on. All right. Well, that's it for the sound check. That's it for this video. Thanks for coming out and watching. I got stuff hanging out all over me here. That whoop section is pretty rough over there, so it starts shaking all kinds of things loose. Gonna get the boy, we're gonna keep going for a little ride, tootle around the area, make it back home, and then get this video going for you guys. Appreciate you stopping by, and keep coming back and checking for more. I still have plenty of the Pete Hager trip. We've got all kinds in Glamis, Buttercup, and a local ride around here so you guys can see a little bit more of this area. So catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy.